Hello， 大家好。
Gung hei fat choi. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna speak some Mandarin.
Okay. I'll speak French when you're done.
OK， 大家好，今天是一期特别节目，邀请了一下2020年 Vancouver Best Comedian winner，2020年温哥华最佳单口喜剧演员 Mark。但是呢 ，bad news is 他要离开温哥华了，他要搬到多伦多去。I was just saying, you just won the best comedian of Vancouver 2020, but you want to decide to leave Vancouver forever, move out of here and move to Toronto. So maybe you can help introduce a bit about Toronto, the culture, atmosphere between Vancouver and Toronto. What's the difference?
Okay, so Toronto is North America's fourth largest city. It's Canada's only real major city. Montreal arguably is its other major city, but it's mostly French speaking. So it's Canada's major English speaking city. No other city is even half as big. Like Vancouver is the third largest city in Canada, and it's only a third the size of Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people from China, Vancouver's small. Vancouver's tiny.
I know, but
Toronto is small compared to big cities in China.
True.
Yeah.
But we prefer, some of us prefer to live in Vancouver because the climate is better.
It's colder in Toronto because it snows more, like the rest of Canada. Pretty well everywhere else in Canada.
I know.
Yeah. Toronto has more culture, it has more food, it has more restaurants, bigger population, more diverse population. It's not just white and Chinese. And Vancouver is white and Chinese, and then the next is Indian. Toronto is every culture you can imagine, all their food, which is really good. And it actually mixes pretty good in Toronto.
Do you think Vancouver is more racist than Toronto?
Yes, passively.
Passively? How do you describe passively?
Okay, Vancouver people try too hard to talk.
Anti-racist.
Yeah,
but in a way of being really racist.
And they talk about race too much.
Exactly.
And Chinese people are not that well liked here. When they're talking about racism, when the white people here talk about racism, they don't really care about towards Chinese people, not really. They're talking about towards black people. And there's not that many black people here.
Yeah.
But they want to find them and be like, are you okay? Like, right?
Yes.
Now, to be fair, Chinese people aren't doing bad in Vancouver, by and large. Like, most of them are wealthy. Most of them own business. They're doing fine. I'd say the biggest criticism I have of a lot of Chinese people in Vancouver is they don't try and join.
Engage
with they have their own little communities, and then some of them don't even learn to speak English.
Yes.
But they're rich. I guess they don't have to, right? I'm not saying this is our country. You gotta, but it is an English-speaking country. Why not try and at least learn something, integrate a little bit into
Why not get involved into the local community?
Right.
Why not get engaged with local people?
Why
not show some respect to local culture?
Right. Now, to be fair, I do know lots of Chinese who do those things as well.
For example, me.
Yeah, she's the best one.
Thank you.
But it's a common enough problem that it does creates a bit of friction and distrust, right? Especially when they own a lot of things, because the people who live here start feeling a bit powerless over it, right? Because it's like,
you're possessing everything from us.
Yeah. So in that particular case, me personally, I don't feel too bad making fun of them, because it's punching up.
Okay,
right? I'll make fun of anyone though. I don't give a shit. I
Yes.
don't care if they're below me or whatever.
I do think if you make fun of Chinese or whatever other races, that means you respect them. You treat them equally as white people. That's the least racist way. But those people who are afraid of making fun of minorities are the real one who's racist, because they view the whole world through the lens of race.
Yes.
As long as you are a different race from them, they treat you in a different way.
And if you think about it, it was okay to go, oh, you're Chinese. There's a bunch of assumptions I can make that are probably correct based on that. Okay, you're Chinese. Probably speak Mandarin. Largest, right? Because it's the largest. You're probably what's it?
Own a property.
In Vancouver, but actually, if you're Chinese anywhere else outside of China, you probably own property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're living in Vancouver, you're probably educated or getting education.
These are good
stereotypes. Right.
Actually.
If you see me, I'm white. White's hard though because there's so many different types of white.
But like,
let's say you know what country I come from though. Let's say you know I'm from Canada. Let's say, and we met in a different country. He's probably polite. These are stereotypes. These what's prejudiced about that? That's how you navigate.
Exactly.
And then
what's the problem of it?
Yeah, and we could share. So, you're Chinese?
Yeah.
Tell me what it's like in China. Okay, here's what it's like. And then I could, you eat fucking century eggs? Those are fucking gross. And you could go, well, I like them. And I go, yeah, well, we eat sap out of a tree. Maple syrup, right? Which is really good, actually. It's way better than century eggs. Century eggs are fucking gross. I don't know why no wonder.
I think my audience would like to know how you people view us.
Okay, me? If I see Chinese people, honestly, I assume they're probably rude.
I would say you're probably right.
Yeah,
we should reflect on ourselves. Why we make this impression?
I assume you're good neighbors.
Because we are
Quiet and
we don't care about
and you don't call the police. Good to do business with if you'll do business with me.
Really?
Chinese people are good to do business
Trustworthy?
if they'll do business with you.
Oh.
Yeah, but the problem is, again, in Canada, they won't do business with people who aren't Chinese. Chinese people my experience has been they do tend to stick to the agreement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Now,
I'm happy.
they'll try and rip you off, though. They'll try and get you down to the lowest price possible. Unlike some other cultures, some cultures will try and get the lowest price, but they're still, like Jews are like this. They'll get you to the lowest price, but they'll say, are you making any money off this? And if you're like, no, I'm not making any money, they'll be like, okay, then let's get it to a place where you are making money. Chinese tend to get it down to the lowest price and they don't care if you make any money. But if you know how to deal with Chinese, that's another thing. Doing business, you have to know how different cultures do business. If you know that and you know how to deal with them, you can deal with them. And you can be like, no, this is my price. That's it. I'm not going any lower than that. And they go, okay, fine. What else do I know about what I assume about Chinese people? I think fundamentally they're decent people. I think they can't drive very well.
For example, me.
Yeah. They all look the same.
They all look the same.
But do white people all look the same to you? Black people all look the same though, right?
We don't have to judge people
Yeah.
as racist.
No.
Because we, Chinese people, are the same.
Yeah. Chinese people are better at racism than white people. They're way better at being racist than white people. And they're not ashamed of it either. It's refreshing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This video is gonna go viral.
Yeah. I like their food. Chinese food's good. In Vancouver, there's always been Chinese people. Always. They came originally to help with the railroad. That's from a certain province in China. I can't remember which one it is. And then we had the ones from Hong Kong. And now, these days, we have the mainland billionaires who are buying up Canada. And buying out all our politicians and mining and...
So sorry.
Yeah.
And do you think Chinese people here are experiencing racism?
Okay, I think racism is not zero. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as the media makes it out to be. My experience with Chinese people in Vancouver is I don't think they even notice if you're being racist. Like, they're just living their life and they don't... like, they're just doing what they do and I don't think they care. Like, they're like, they own my fucking house. What do they care if I call this? And they drive away in their Lamborghini. Like, how does that hurt them?
Oh my goodness.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
You are saying Chinese people are already the real privileged people living
in Vancouver. They are, yeah. Now, in the country of China, I know it's not all like. I know the majority of people are struggling very much. Actually, the people who live here are not an accurate representation of Chinese people as a whole.
Yes.
Because the majority of Chinese people, like 1 billion at least, are poor and not doing well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing I have to cut this off because this will hurt some vulnerable Chinese people's heart.
Right.
Okay, so talking about racism, you were saying Toronto is less racist.
I would say yes, because Toronto's been a multicultural city for a very long time. For the longest time, most immigrants to Canada ended up in Montreal or Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they integrate.
integrate.
So you could be
That's
talking.
the right
yeah,
word.
yeah. So-
We Chinese people don't integrate
Right.
into the
So
society.
that's even in Toronto. There's a lot of Chinese people in Toronto too. So you'll be in Toronto, and there'll be Indian people, black people, all of them. Other than their skin color, everything's the same.
Mm-hmm.
They watch hockey. They
Culturally
yeah,
adapted
yeah,
to
right.
Canada.
And then there'll be Chinese people, and they don't. Not all. I never want to say all, but
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't want to apologize for saying the truth either. But
Yeah,
it isn't
I totally
all,
get it.
but it's a lot.
Yeah.
The majority. I mean,
I
I'd
totally
say, yeah.
agree. We live in our own world.
Yeah.
We don't interact
But-
with you guys.
And I understand why though. You're billionaires. Fuck. Why do you need to integrate? You own everything. Like, why should you? Also, I understand that's part of the culture anyway. Is you kind of just. But the funny thing is Indian people are similar, and they don't do that when they get here. It might be because India used to be a British. Someone once told me that any country that used to be under basically white people rule will integrate into a white culture easier.
Okay.
Right? I'll say another controversial thing. Colonialism isn't all bad either. Because sometimes colonialism brought the rule of law to countries. Sometimes it took away dictatorships and stuff like that, right? And I don't just mean the law, I mean a culture of it. Like understanding that you can't just arrest me because you didn't like what I said. Do you know what I mean? White people aren't going to like any of what I just said. I don't know what Chinese people are going to think.
I will let you know.
Okay. But Chinese people don't get offended really, like not at this
No,
stuff,
Chinese
right?
people, I easily get offended.
Do they? Oh, okay. Not about talking about pro-colonialism though.
But generally speaking, you believe ethnic minority have a decent life here, right?
In Canada, yes.
Well, it's a very informative conversation.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking this interview.
Mm.
And I wish you would come back sometime.
You should come to Toronto.
Visit.
We'll go look how other people from different countries integrate properly.
I look forward to performing with you again.
Okay, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Black Lives Matter.
See you. Bye bye.